Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbach.
Okay, thanks, Kimberly. All right, Fast Leader Legion. The person who I have on our show today is somebody who has really overcome a lot of obstacles in life and did not allow that to stop her from being the person that she is today and impacting so many others. Her name is Honoree Corder. Now, that actually has a French origin to it. It's spelled kind of like Honoree. However, it's Honoree. So we want to make sure that we get that right for her when we reference her and tell other people about this awesome show that you're getting ready to participate in today. Honoree was raised on a farm near Salem Center, Ohio, and in Albuquerque, New Mexico by traditionally educated yet very entrepreneurial parents. She was a foster kid and child home resident and attended 4 high schools, which helped her become very good at meeting new people, adapting to new environments, and learning to be extremely flexible. While she didn't attend college, she overcame her childhood challenges and became a successful entrepreneur by becoming a voracious reader and student of human behavior with an unstoppable positive attitude. Honoree has gone on to write several books and be a coach and inspiration to many. Honoree Corder, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
Oh, you bet. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Now, I've given our listeners a brief introduction about you, but can you please tell us what is your current passion so that we can get to know you better?
Oh, great. My current passion is helping people to have a complete transformation and live the life that they thought was only possible, but is actually really possible.
Well, what does that really mean? I mean, because a lot of times I think we kind of almost look to others to have a, idea of what that would be for us. And we often spend really a lifetime searching. So, I mean, really, what does that mean?
Well, so my work with people is as an executive and business coach, but that is not entirely accurate. Everyone wants a title, right? And what I do is my tagline is I double your income and triple your time off. But actually what I want to do is get my grubby mitts on people and help them to see themselves as I see them, with all of the potential and all the promise that their life holds. And so I help them to make the most out of their business. I help them to make the most out of their thought processes, out of their physical body, their emotional intelligence, all of those things. I work with people from the sea level to 30,000 feet.
When I listened to you talk, there was a comment that I read by somebody who was an author of a leadership book, and he was referring to how certain responses are given or provided by others, the way that they behave. And his comment was, he was talking about a large number of people, and he said, some people are just so stupid. And I'm like, really? This came from an author of a leadership book? So you mentioned something about, you seeing that in other people. It really, is that something that can be seen and found in a lot of people, or is it really just a small subset?
I think everyone is born with the seeds of greatness within them. I think there's one part nurture and one part nature. And I think some people buy into the fact that they can be great and amazing and terrific. And so they are. And some people buy into the message from whoever they get it from, whether it's their parents or their friends or their teachers, that they're not all that smart or they're not all that capable. And they live into that. And that actually breaks my heart.
It's kind of funny having 3 smaller kids. And what I mean is I have a middle schooler and 2 in elementary. So it's 11, 9, and 6, talking about this, what we do as adults in molding what they think about themselves. I mean, first of all, we know that, from a personality perspective, people are wired a certain way. And then we accentuate that, and sometimes not in the best ways. And there was a fascinating book that I read many years ago, and it's guided me in a lot of ways. And it's a book called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. And she talks about many of the things that you just mentioned. For example, and it's so commonplace, but we see that, we do it often. Like, you never should tell a child you're smart, because what's the opposite of that? So if you're not smart, then that means you're dumb. And so what we should talk to them about is the effort that they put in. We should talk to them about the details of their work and how you appreciate the fact that they, really focused in on this and did a great job on that. And then that ultimately will result in you having greater knowledge and things like that. And that kind of what makes you smart. But telling somebody directly, you're smart, and you know what? It may seem like a compliment. But it's the opposite. That is really the bad
Interesting.
thing.
Well, I think that there's the behavior and there's the person.
Mm.
And sometimes, most of the time, people are not their behavior. So when I'm educating my daughter on best behavior, I will say, I love you and you're wonderful and amazing just as you are. Now, that choice that you made, I'm not exactly excited about that choice that you made, but that doesn't define who you are. Just as what someone does for a living is not who they are, it's what they do. But a lot of people put stock in I am this as opposed to I do this.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, and I appreciate the dialogue that we've had. There's so much insight, and we can probably make it an hour show, but we've got to move forward. And so, on the Fast Leader Show, we always talk about, inspiration and things that kind of give us a reminding and a grounding rod. And we talk a lot about leadership quotes. Is there kind of a quote or two, or maybe even a passage that kind of stands out for you as something that always reminds you to, say, reset yourself or change your mindset so that you can move forward? Can you share it with us, please?
Sure. So I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill. And in both of my favorite books that he has written, Think and Grow Rich and The Law of Success, he has something called the self-confidence formula. And 20-something years ago, when I was born, when I read Think and Grow Rich for the first time, I memorized, at his suggestion, the self-confidence formula and said it over and over and over again. And it is something that I'm actually including in a new book that I'm writing. Like, I'm referencing that material because I think it's so important for people to know that it's there. It's interesting because we live in a time where there's a new great book available every minute. And yet there, as I was telling someone yesterday, there are the self-help classics. There are the foundations to all of the work that all of us who write books refer to and defer to in our work. And that is that book, Think and Grow Rich. And then also it's in the Law of Success as well, that self-confidence formula, those words that you're saying to yourself, that's, if not the passage, it's actually the idea that I can reset. I can go back and reference that and push the reset button and start back it from that place of power. So that's my recommendation.
So was the passage in there as you were explaining to it?
It's the self-confidence formula.
Oh, so it's
I
the whole thing.
I have the talents and skills and abilities to create anything that I desire, right? I have to be committed. I have to take the action is the gist of it. So it's a multi-paragraph formula.
Oh.
That whole entire passage is, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like 5 or 6 paragraphs that you actually commit to memory and then repeat aloud once a day until you actually embody that. And that's the passage that I refer to.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, what we can do is we can actually put that on our show notes page for those who have not had the opportunity to review that. And that show notes page is going to be at fastleader.net/Honoree Corder. Great. So now we talked a little bit about mindset and overcoming a lot of obstacles in life. And, we talk about epiphanies. Other people say ahas. Is there a moment in your life when you've had an epiphany, or maybe something that occurred that later you had an epiphany about that kind of has guided you as a person to be the person you are and positively impact so many that you have impacted so far and are yet to impact? Can you please share that story with us?
Absolutely. So I took a public speaking class in, I want to say 1997. So a while ago. And my instructor was teaching us through a 4-week evening class, right? She was a friend of mine. She was a presentation coach. And she invited me to take her class, and I took the class, and she would have us get up and give these presentations and then give us feedback. And one of the things that she said to me was, Honoree, you need to speak. If you don't speak, people are missing out. And I heard it, but I didn't hear it. It wasn't until years later when I was asked to begin speaking, and I started speaking more and more, and people would say, I really appreciated the thing you said about, or I hear your voice in my head telling me I can do something when I didn't think that I could do it, when my own voice in my head is telling me that I can't do that. And I realize that's exactly the gift that she gave to me. And so there's something very powerful. The epiphany for me is that there's this opportunity that we all have to speak words into people, and that you have to be very careful about what you say. You have to speak words. Like I have to say to my daughter, it's what you did. It's not who you are. And I tell my clients and my readers and people that I come into contact with that you are actually capable of anything you put your mind to. You have no limitations. The only limitations you have are the ones that you hold on to and that you make up in your mind. And that was my epiphany, is that those words that people speak into us, we may not even live into them until years and years and years later. So things that I'm saying now may not come to fruition for someone until much later, but I am so intentional and purposeful in what I say, because I really want to speak words of life and possibility and hope into people.
You mentioned something in there about, well, first of all, thanks for sharing that. But you mentioned something about it taking time for you to realize what she was telling you. Sometimes, it can take a lifetime for it to finally click for some of us, at least me, I should say. But if you were to really give a piece of advice to the Fast Leader Legion about that particular story, what would you tell them about, not listening, but really listening?
Well, I think we get, and I have this deal with God, right? So if you send me the feather again. So I think messages come, repeated messages that we're supposed to get. And at first they come quietly. So it's the feather, the brick, the book, and then the Mack truck. Right? So my request is, could you please send the feather a few times so that I hear the message? But I think that there's something that to each person that's listening, there's a recurring theme in your life. There's a recurring message that is meant to get to you. And the sooner you listen and the sooner you get the message and the sooner you take action on it, the better for you, because playing small doesn't serve the world. Not owning your greatness doesn't serve the world. It doesn't serve you. So that's my advice, is if there's a recurring theme, if there's something you've heard over and over again, listen to that. The first person that said to me, your voice in my head telling me I can do it, I've chosen to listen to that and make it louder than the voice in my head telling me that I can't do it. And that was my moment where I recognized that I was able to speak words of possibility and hope and encouragement into people. And it was my job to do that. But it took me a really long time to own that and to do it, even though I started hearing that message in my early 20s. It took me a really long time to really own that. So we all have these messages that come to us. Hear them sooner is my advice.
Now, there's another key word that you said in there that I often repeat back to a lot of folks, because here on the Fast Leader Show, we're talking about redefining what leadership is. The fact is that we all have to lead. I mean, if we don't do a good job of leading ourselves, there is no way possible in this world that we'll be able to lead others, or that we'll be even looked at to be someone who can lead others, or someone who, I think for me, I've often looked at certain folks and say, you know what, I would love to be on their team because I want to be on the team for that person so that they can lead me. And so ownership is a really critical part of our day-to-day life. And many of us just kind of squander through. And many times for me, through certain days, certain times of the day, certain weeks of the month, I don't necessarily own things, right? And so I need to do a better job of, really hunkering down, as they say, right?
Sure.
And owning things more. So thank you for that piece of advice. Now, you if you could tell us a little bit about the current work that you're doing. You mentioned about writing a book, but what really excites you and gives you energy? Because you've kind of given a broad scope of helping others, but what specifically is the thing that kind of charges you?
There are two things. One is when I'm working one-on-one with someone and they tell me that they have become a new person through our work together. That just is the coolest thing ever. And so maybe you want me to just kind of expand on that a little bit. What I do is speak words into people, give them permission to do the things that they want to do. And it's everything from the very simple, if you want to do business with someone, ask them. If you want to write their estate plan or you want to handle their legal matters, their M&A transaction, pick up the phone and say, this is my area of genius. I am awesome at this. I would love to serve you in this way. Take ownership, right, of your greatness in that way. So in my work with people, that is my focus, is helping them to figure out the thing that gives them the juice and help them to do more of that. The other thing that happens now every single day, which is super cool because it's kind of my, I was listening to a podcast yesterday and someone said, reading books for you is like giving a heroin addict a pound of heroin. Right? And I thought, oh, that's so me. I'm such a nerd for that. But because I have written several books, I now get a message every single day from a reader who said, I found your book just in the nick of time and it's changed the trajectory of my life. And I think that is so amazing and humbling that the words that I write in isolation, and I have this avatar of this person that I want to read my words and to feel better about their life and about their future, that is coming back to me through Facebook messages and emails. And I got one in the mail yesterday. Like someone actually sent me a letter with a stamp on it. And it was like, really? That's awesome. I love that.
Well, that's definitely going the extra mile to give you feedback these days.
Absolutely.
So what goals do you have for the future?
Oh gosh, I have a few books to write this year on my to-do list. My family, our goal is to go mobile by the middle of the year next year. So we're actually going to be living mobile, traveling around, staying in different places, and not having an actual home, but being homeless on purpose, being virtual.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's
we're
frightening for so many folks. I mean, we might have to do a follow-up show on that. That's an amazing thought. And I mean, for me, I think we'd have to have 15 garage sales before we even embark.
Well, we have had the first several phases of that process. There's the process of going from the big house to the little place to live, and then looking through everything and saying, do I really need this thing that I've held on to, that it's like someone gave me these beautiful Waterford crystal, actually they were Tiffany candle holders years ago, and I had never put candles in them because they were from Tiffany's. I don't want to get smut on them, so I didn't never light any candles in them. I just dusted them and carried them around, and they were heavy because they're from Tiffany, for God's sake. And so I finally just said, these need a new home. This needs to be, someone else needs to dust these, and someone else who has a little less whatever anxiety about getting some soot on a candle holder needs to have these. But we've gone through the layers of it, and now everything we do is, what is it that we need to do in order to live this life of abundance and travel and just running around and being free and fun and all of that.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully somebody won't buy those Tiffany candles and put them in their storage facility. All right. So the entire Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best on everything that you're targeting for your future. All right, gang. Now it's time to move on to the rapid pace part of our show, and that's the Hump Day Hoedown. All right, Fast Leader listeners, this is the time where we ask Honoree several questions and she gives us fast answers so that we can move onward and upward faster. Honoree, are you ready to hoe down?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Fast, quickly.
Spoken like a Texan. All right. So, what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Limiting beliefs with everybody. I'm the same as everybody else. I have limiting beliefs, and I'm working on getting rid of those and expanding my consciousness every single day.
So what's the best leadership advice you have ever received?
That being a leader of self is the best way to be a leader of others.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
Extreme self-care.
We may have to elaborate that on another show. What do you feel is one of your best resources that helps you lead in business or life?
My network. I have a really great group of people that I rely on to help me to work through ideas and strategies and challenges. And that's your peer group. Your relationships are the people that you rely on when you need to move forward or get unstuck or whatever.
That sounds like a Napoleon Hill influence as well. All right. So
Yes.
what would be one book that you would recommend to our listeners other than your own?
Well, gosh, I listened to other of your podcasts, and so I thought to myself, and each time, how can you recommend only one book? So I'm going to go with The Miracle Morning, because I already mentioned my other two favorites, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, Life Changer. I don't know if you know of that book or if you know about Hal, but that is a favorite book. And then I'm just going to say that on my website, I have my favorite books tab. So if you want to know the rest of them, they're not even all on there, but it's a good start.
All right, Fast Leader listeners, you can find links to that book and many others, again, on our show notes page, and that's going to be at fastleader.net/Honoree Corder. And Honoree, you even have a special gift for our listeners, don't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
I have not one but two gifts.
Awesome.
Because that's how I roll. So if we go to Honoree Corder /podcast, you can get, /podcast, you can actually get a free copy of my first book, Tall Order. And you can also get 2 free chapters of my book, Vision to Reality.
Fantastic. We appreciate those gifts and look forward to reading those and more coming from you in the future. So now we're to the last question of the Hump Day Hoedown. Imagine you woke up tomorrow morning and you were 25 years old all over again, but you are blessed. You have the opportunity to keep everything that you know today with you. You are actually given the responsibility to manage a team that's underperforming and disengaged. Your job, of course, is to turn these folks around. Now, you get up in the morning, you realize what happened, you head out to work. What do you do now?
Well, first of all, I'm a little offended that you don't think I'm 25, but we're just going to skip right over that. I am going to find out each of my team's whys. Why are they coming to work? What do they want most in the world? And if where they need to be is on that team and moving forward, I'm going to help them to live into their potential and take ownership of their greatness and come up with a plan and a vision and move themselves forward. And if they don't need to be there, then I'm going to help them find their right path. We're going to have a transformation because that's what I do.
That's awesome. Honoree, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you.
HonoreeCorder.com.
Perfect. Honoree, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Woo-hoo! Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.